It's taken a year, but it seems Sir Jim Ratcliffe has obtained a minority stake of 25% of Manchester United. But before I break down the possible permutations of the deal, let's look at the chain of events that have brought us to this point. Back in November 2022, Manchester United said they were going to explore strategic alternatives that included a possible sale of the club. In January this year, two main bidders emerged: Sir Jim Ratcliffe, owner of Ineos and self-proclaimed Manchester United fan, and Sheikh Jassim, chairman of Qatari bank, Qatar Islamic Bank. Then the piss-taking Glazer merry-go-round began, when they set a soft deadline of the 17th of February for initial bids. Then another deadline in March was set, which was later extended. Both main bidders put together new proposals: Ratcliffe for 69% of the club, Sheikh Jassim for 100%. Then, after a summer of silence, in October, Sheikh Jassim withdraws. And that brings us to the present, where the Glazers have relinquished 25% of Manchester United for £1.25 billion to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Now, we need some real talk. Manchester United is the property of the Glazers, whether we like that or not. The £1.25 billion is Glazer money, not Manchester United money. There are potential caveats to that, depending on whether the Glazers are selling existing shares or new shares, but ultimately, there are no guarantees that money will be put back into the club. In fact, it's highly unlikely that any of it will. Now moving on to the 25% share, it's a minority stake, meaning the power and final say still lies with the Glazers, unless, as part of the deal, they have handed over the football affairs of the club to Ratcliffe. All indications point towards that being the case, so what has happened to suggest that? Ratcliffe has already drafted in Dave Brailsford, with newspaper reports claiming he visited Carrington on Wednesday to speak to staff. If you don't know who Brailsford is, he was the performance director of British Cycling, credited as being the brains behind Great Britain's cycling success at the 2008 and 2012 Olympics with his marginal gains philosophy. It's likely that he will take up some sort of performance director role. The pending departure of Richard Arnold as CEO is another indication that Ratcliffe has obtained power through this deal that is disproportionate with his stakeholding. Jean-Claude Blanc is favourite to replace him. Reports also suggest that Manchester United's current director of football equivalent, John Murtough, is also on course to lose his job, with Paul Mitchell and Dougie Freedman favourites to replace him. Despite the noise around Mitchell, Freedman looks like he might get the job. Now, this is a clear indication that in terms of football structure, Ratcliffe has obtained significant control that is disproportionate to his stakeholding. But in terms of money, that may be a different story. The fact that the Glazer shareholding has reduced means the amount of dividends that they can withdraw will also reduce, raising the possibility that more of the money generated by the club stays in the club. But there are no guarantees that Ratcliffe won't draw a dividend, although this is unlikely, especially in the early phase. However, the probability is the Glazers have not relinquished control of the financial side of United, meaning they can and probably will veto any transfer deals they are not happy with. So unless Ratcliffe puts his own money in, the transfer funds will still be restricted. In addition, could we have a scenario like this? We know that Joel Glazer loves Martial. He called him United's Pele. But if Ratcliffe wanted to sell Martial to raise funds, could the Glazers veto this and give him a new contract? Now, there is a warning with this deal. Details on how Ratcliffe is funding this have yet to be released, but reports are that he is not using his own money and has sought financial advice from Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. JP Morgan were the bank that advised the Glazers back in 2005 when they first bought Manchester United, so they were one of the architects of the leverage buyout that has got United into this situation we are in. Although unlikely for the 25% stake, it cannot be ruled out that Ratcliffe could borrow against United, as did the Glazers, to buy the rest of the club. The devil's verdict is, the signs are very good in terms of Ratcliffe gaining control of the football side of the club, and we will get the football infrastructure that we have all been waiting for. However, on the financial side, don't expect Ratcliffe to sink loads of money into the club. He is a billionaire and Britain's richest person, but he isn't the bottomless pit of cash that Sheikh Jassim is. So although there will be an initial speculate to accumulate in the playing squad, don't expect improvements in the stadium or training facilities anytime soon. But this is a significant moment in the recent history of Manchester United, and there is one phrase that sums this up: ABTG. Anyone but the Glazers. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.